Live.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Faraz.
Hi, Carlos.
How are you? Good,
I'm
good.
doing good, great. Nice to have you here. So we are live right now, getting connected. Let me just set a few things.
Okay, I'm
Perfect.
checking. All right. Okay.
Just making sure that everything is online, on track.
Okay. I'm checking the people coming in and just admitting them as I
Lovely.
kind of
Thank you,
as I
Carlos.
notice.
Thank you.
And I'm also checking the YouTube main streaming, so that way if any
Yeah,
question
perfect. So
pop up
that has
there.
been streaming, right? I was just checking that only.
Okay.
Okay, lovely. We have. So let's begin our show.
Okay. Whew. So
वेलकम माय फ्रेंड्स मैं हूं आपका दोस्त और होस्ट फराज शेख दोस्त means your friend in Hindi we say dost means friend so मैं हूं आपका दोस्त और host फराज शेख and today with me Mr. Carlos from Peru. He's here and he has some amazing tricks and tips on the on dynamic arrays with the charts. So my friend Carlos is over here, and Carlos is in Peru, and he has been doing a lot of great stuff, and he calls himself as an Excel craftsman. So we would like to know more about that, Carlos. That how you come up with this lovely name.
Well, craftsman, usually I think it's a generic term, for people who work with wood or with other materials, and the flexibility of Excel, the versatility, it is just so an amazing tool, so powerful that it can work for a lot of stuff. So
Lovely.
and you can get crafty. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Crafty, artistic, anything we can do it.
Yeah.
So if you don't know me, I'm Faraz Sheikh. I think most of you might be knowing me right now. And if you're watching this channel for the first time, I'm Faraz Sheikh, Microsoft MVP, as Microsoft Certified Trainer, Innovative Educator, and Office Master. And my mission with my friends, we make Excel exciting. And our mission is to give the easiest solution and quickest solution to the community so that their life can become easy. And equally, I would like to share the knowledge and gain the knowledge from all the lovely people. Just a quick recap on we have some of our past meetup, which has happened. You can quickly scan the QR code. They were lovely guests, and we have some of those lovely guests in the house today. So you can feel free to chat with them, send them a message, and we'll try to get connected with them also. And this is the meetup which has happened in 2022. So you can feel free to check out that. And there are some upcoming meetups which are going to take place. Right now we are having for Carlos, and we have for 15th of April that Mr. Harshvardhan. He is the youngest speaker on our meetup. He's 14 years old, and he would be talking about Power BI reports, his first service report, and he's a technology enthusiast. And I would be really looking forward, Mr. Harsh coming on our meetup and presenting it. So make sure that if you haven't registered, scan the QR code or check this link, and you can go and register for his meetup. And there is something more is happening in the house in the month of March. So there are some other meetups also which is taking place. So you can feel free to go and join those meetups, connect there, and you can see it from this list. And this list is available on my website, www.excelexciting.com/meetup. So you can find all the speakers who are presenting it for the month of March. We'll be finding it over there. And similarly, I do it for every month. I post it on LinkedIn. So you can follow on my LinkedIn also, LinkedIn/company/Excel Exciting. So you can find me over there. And as usual, I always request the community, my friends, those who are here, seeing and watching this video right now, this streaming, you have those superhero skills, and please come forward. Please share it with us. Show us those skills, and we can make Excel exciting together. And I think quick housekeeping, everybody know. So I'm just going to skip that, and I'm going to back to the main screen. The guy on the hot seat right now, Carlos. Carlos, my friend, please feel free to introduce yourself and please show us the Excel chart with dynamic arrays.
Okay.
Over to you, my
perfect.
friend Carlos.
Thank you for us, and thank you everyone who is here, and thank you for us again for the opportunity. So I will share my screen. I think I click yes, and then let me know if you can guys, can everyone see like the Excel window open with a couple of GIF?
Yeah.
Couple of the charts that I have developed. Yeah, okay. So what we're gonna be talking about is how to make cool charts, or how to make them live or dynamic with these new functions of dynamic arrays. So we go to this one. Let me just close that one because I think kind of, all right. So on LinkedIn, you can find me as Carlos Barboza. That's my logo. Just a school with the Excel on the forehead. And recently I changed my title in honor to Oz, who's here with us. I think I'll show quick my face, guerrilla data analyst. I think before it was bilingual data analyst, but now I'm all in, kind of breaks the ice for some conversation with corporate finance guys and other people who might, I don't know, might look embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed. I just tell them, hey, look, this is what I do. So in order to you us in the book, okay? So
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not good. I don't really like to talk about me a lot, and so I'm gonna skip this part, okay? So just to jump into what you guys are interested is to how to learn how to make this stuff in Excel. So the first tip, I'll be sharing a couple of tips. The tabs that you see here on black are in the tips that I'm going to be sharing. And the first one is going to be learning Excel and aim at mastering it, okay? Because it's a journey. It's you're always going to learn something new. You're always going to come across something that will blow your mind, and try to explore all the possibilities, all the tools within Excel. I'll make this photo bigger again. And us, I know you're coming out with a third edition. So if you can guys get a copy of that book, definitely I will recommend it because it did change my mind to how to approach Excel and how to sort of think of in Excel for this, okay? I'll make it again bigger. And if you guys want to take a quick photo of it, I really recommend this book. It's an amazing book. It really influenced my way to Excel. All right, and then tip number 2 is actually learn dynamic arrays. It's about 7 functions, I think. Learn each of them, and I think on YouTube channels, Excel is fun from Mike Gerben, Excel on Fire, but there's so many more. I think we have Alan Murray, I got Computer Gaga, Kristen also has his own YouTube channel. So there's so much content out there in YouTube that go take advantage of it. Really take advantage of learning each individual dynamic array function, sort by, filter, sequence, okay? That's my tip number 2. So we'll start with the first example, okay? We're gonna start with something tiny, small, but you're gonna see how dynamic arrays makes these to be playful, and that you can build something for your end users where they can actually just by one clicking, the chart updates instantly, okay? So I'm just gonna zoom in here a little bit. And we have this small data set, okay? I think example number 1 might be the most, it's gonna be 3 examples, and this one's gonna be probably the most, I guess a little bit just complex on one formula, that's it. But the rest are easy. Well, you guys let me know, okay? I also want this to be a conversation. So at some moments, I'm gonna stop and say, if anybody has a question, I can answer it. If I see that the question needs more time to answer it, I'll leave it for later, okay? All right, so the first thing that when working with dynamic array charts or Excel charts that have dynamic arrays is that try to aim that your source is within a table, okay? In a table, that's tip number 3, it's work or actually tableize your data, okay? I know Bill Gelling once said that this book, he doesn't work, Bill Gelling, Mr. Excel doesn't work with tables, and I was surprised to know that. But he does recognize that in this book, they do mention what are kind of the bugs about him, okay? So I think the benefits outweigh totally the sort of disadvantage of tables, okay? I really recommend it for dynamic arrays. So we go back to the example, and we're gonna work with this data, small, tiny data set. So hopefully you can understand with this small data, it applies to bigger data sets. We're gonna convert it, Control T, to a table. It comes out in that format. And now I can see this. I can see hopefully I can, I wanna change how do I hide this part? Okay, that's better. All right, so the table design, I'm just gonna switch it to something like that, grayish. But then I am gonna say item, this is item. Okay, now I'm gonna work with my tip number 4, which is, and this is personal, okay? This is something I learned from the trenches of consulting and crap data and a lot of freelance gigs. Is that enumerate your stuff. Like if you can put a 1, 2, 3, 4 to the stuff that you're doing, it kind of helps out eventually when you have to audit it. And also as a good in good faith, when you hand it to somebody else, they kind of figure it out to know where do I start looking at this workbook. So if they see the 1 and 2 and 3, they will at least say, okay, maybe here's where things starts and I have to start looking at this. So that's my tip, okay? Enumerate your stuff. So what I'm gonna do with this table is I'm gonna go to right now on table design, and I am gonna change the name. So what I usually do is I underscore, because in Excel you can't just do you can't start a define name with a number. It has to be with other characters. So I always use an underscore, 01, and then data, something like that, something simple, okay? And then just hit enter. Okay, and then zoom out a little bit. Well, I'll zoom out again. All right. And now the first thing that we want to do is to pull out our first array. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring index, and I'm gonna say what's the array that I'm working? Hopefully, if I can just zoom a little bit more. So perfect. Index. And I want to bring this, okay, this whole thing, my first item, because that's going to be my x-axis on my chart. But check this out. If I type 0, okay, do you guys know this? I didn't know about this until last year. So just imagine how big Excel and its possibilities are within this tool. So if you put 0, it kind of spills you sort of this whole column of this tiny table, okay, just putting a 0 on the index. Now that's kind of cool, because that's gonna help me later on to replace that part with an all part, okay? So now, what I'm gonna say now with the index, since you guys know that the second argument of this function is to know the row, I'm gonna link it to this cell right here, to this one, to the incrementer. Once I put that, now it's just gonna show me an A. If I switch this to a 2, now it shows me a B. Now if I 3, C, okay, perfect. I'm just gonna put it to 0. And it shows me the spill range, okay? Spill range and dynamic arrays, some points are synonyms, but at other points, when you get technical, they're different. So the second formula that we're gonna build is that within this index, we can throw a sequence function, okay? So what I'm gonna do is actually gonna say, so imagine that we put 3 here, okay? Now it's just only showing me one value. But if I replace that with a sequence function, and I refer that to that cell, okay? And just wrap up with the last parenthesis, that index function. Now I get the whole spill range. And if I switch this to a 2, and then it just shows me 2 values. And you can see that little mark right here. And if I change it just to 1, it still shows me just 1. Okay, now this is kind of fun because I kind of have control over that. Okay, and now the second, I think, let me just check my notes here. Okay, we did that. All right, and then the fourth formula is this. Okay, on the values that from this small table, we can use SUMIF, XLOOKUP, since this is only like one row to one value. You know, in this case, we can do an XLOOKUP just to promote a nice function, a new one on Excel. I'm gonna look up this value, but when you're working with dynamic arrays, what's awesome is that you can just put the hashtag and it will reference that spill range, comma, and what's my lookup array? Well, it's on this one where I'm this value that I'm looking for, and then what's my return array, which is gonna be this part right here. So for this case, we'll do XLOOKUP, but you can also do it with SUMIF. Again, if we now do 2 here, Control Enter, now we see it kind of just shows us shows that. Okay, and then 3, boom. Okay. Now I think, let me just back up here so I don't lose myself. Okay, now we're gonna throw a sort of a condition here, because if I do 0 here, since I have a sequence below, now that I'm gonna get this error. Okay, why? Because there's a sequence here. So to fix it, we're gonna have to put a condition on this part of the function right here, sequence. And let me just see if I'm skipping. Nope. This is a tip, actually a bonus tip. And this is also personal. At some point, I have talked to other pros, Excel pros, and I mean, I guess the only place I see people indenting the formula, so putting it in a nice vertical format, is with DAX. And I think it got popular with you know, Marco and Alberto Ferrari saying, if it's not formatted, it's not DAX. I think it's a good quote. And the same can be done in Excel. It's just that it's kind of tedious, but I think it's useful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this first part of the argument of index, and I'm gonna go right here on my sequence, and I'm gonna zoom out more. Okay, you can see it right there, and I'm gonna do Alt Enter with my keyboard. Once I do that, it kind of breaks it into the second line, but then the tedious part is that you have to press the space bar a lot of times until you align it. That's probably the tedious part, okay? But it kind of pays off eventually when you have to go back, and if you see a formula that is nicely formatted, it kind of makes more sense than just a long string, okay? So here, I'm gonna put an if, and I'm gonna say, well, if this is equals 0, just a 0, else just do the sequence, okay? And now I am gonna close the parentheses, and yeah, I can maybe put this last parentheses. This is also another tip. Whenever I see a lot of parentheses, I kind of bring that last parentheses where it kind of belongs. So that way it kind of gives me visually that I'm dealing with these two. I mean, this is a closing parentheses of this part. And I just hit enter right here. And then boom, now I have fixed that part. And now if I switch it to 3, again, whoop, something happened here. Actually 3 is good, 2 and 1. Or if I want to show all, okay, which is 0. And you will see why, well, what's the difference between having 0 and 3 if they both do the same. Okay, and that's, I think probably some of you already thought of it, and I'm glad that you guys already thinking ahead, because now, let me just don't lose my track here. That's the X lookup, and this is, okay, so we're good. So now I'm gonna bring the incremental slicer, which is reference number 2, and this is number 1. Okay, so we're gonna build this. So what I'm gonna do now is to sort of have in my buttons of my slicers, and this is what I mean. Let's just do this part right here. I'll take this, okay, and I believe maybe there's a lot of clutter on this part, so maybe we can bring this here. Okay, much better. All right, so what I'm getting right here on this sequence, on this step 1, is this. I just wanted to spell how many items there is. Ooh, I zoom out to a lot. Just go back, okay. I just want something that tells me, okay, how many individual items you have on this table. For this one, visually it's easy, it's only 3, okay? And I'm using a unique function, and then I'm count A, which is a very powerful function, and then I'm doing a sequence between that. So a nice nested function here. But then on step 2, what I'm doing, so let's just bring this part right here. Actually, let's just bring it over here. Hopefully, again, going too fast myself. Sorry. Okay. All right. All right. There we go. Now, on this second step, what I'm going to do is kind of, and this is where I think it could be, this part could be done in so many ways, but I'm trying to add 2 more values to this, okay? So that's why you see rows on this spill range that is on step 1, and I'm adding two more values, okay? So, and I wanted to start from 0, okay? That's also the other part. So as you can see, the sequence function is part of the dynamic arrays family. And like I said on the tip number 2, try to learn each individually, separately, and then I think eventually you will see that the connecting the dots sort of is gonna play on your work, because you're gonna start combining the strengths of each of this function to produce robust and awesome formulas. So I'm gonna do enter here, and now I have like what you see, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Now I know at this point it's still making sense. It's not making sense any of this, but it will in a little bit. Let's just bring out this part right here and take out this. Oh, again. We're gonna do it with the mouse. Be careful. All right. So now this one is saying, hey, look, with the previous array, if this is equals 0, put incrementer. And then if the previous array, the spill range, if it's the max, okay, of that spill range, C15, then do all, okay? And then just give me if false, okay? And then we do that. And now we get the incrementer and the all part, okay? Now we could be more, if you guys are a fan of let function, like I am, we can wrap everything within let function and it will be in this way. For some reason, it's not showing up. Let's see. Okay, right there. So I just wrapped up the 3 previous steps into one function. Now, let me just have a sip of water here. Now, I sometimes come across some financial modelers, and when they see my formulas, they're like, you're nuts. I mean, you're crazy. And I understand that there's some sort of philosophy that formula shouldn't be that long. And I don't know, at some point they heard that it has to be as short as your thumbnail. And I'm like, well, really not. With dynamic arrays, when it comes to charts, they could be lengthy, but try to write them vertically because usually it's within one cell that is actually leaving the formula, which will make then the chart to be dynamic, okay? And this is what we put right here. We did number array, which is the step 1, which is this part. Then we did number array 2. We did with this part that is on step 2, and then result. I sort of take what we do in DAX in Power BI to sort of also put the result variable as separately, and then just spell it with the let function. And that's what I did here, an if with another if nested inside, and then just to spell result. Once we do that, we get the same thing. And now this last part right here, I'm gonna just, again, okay, I'll take this comma out, and then let's just move it right here. The only difference is that I'm using if, okay, right here with the S. So it just kind of makes it, I mean, instead of having 2 ifs, it's just one if. It's just a little bit cleaner. But that's the only difference between this and that. Now you may be wondering, okay, why do we need that? Because now we can reference a spill range to a pivot table. And now, okay, let's do that, because sometimes I go too fast and I don't want that to happen. So now we're gonna go right here and we're gonna reference this spill range to incrementer, okay, underscore 02 underscore, and then hashtag. This is what is amazing about this, because you just gotta do this. You got the complexity in one cell of your spreadsheet, and then on your name manager, you just gotta reference that cell that has all the complexity with this hashtag, and that's it. I have seen the work of Daniel Ferry. I don't know if you guys know him from Excel Hero. He used to be an Excel MVP, and he's still I don't know if he's still active, but I have seen some of his work, and it's crazy. He used to put all the offset functions to make the charts dynamic in this part on this tiny space, and it kind of gets once you see it, you have to go inside his work and take out the formula and put it in a cell to sort of understand it better, because over here, as you can see, is very, it's a small space to even understand the formula. So we click OK, and boom, we got the name incrementer there, and close. And I'm gonna take a break in a little bit, but now we're gonna do insert and now pivot table. And now on the pivot table, we are actually gonna delete all that and then F3. And then once we do, we're gonna bring that name that we just defined and we're gonna put it right there. And then an existing worksheet, and we can put it right here. Okay. Once we do that, you can see that usually my pivot table is like that. It's because I usually put it on top of the ribbon. It should appear like this, maybe. I don't know if it's gonna. Yeah, it's like that classically, right? And this is another tip I want to share. Usually the pivot tables are like this classically. I like working like this, where I put actually the fields on this section and then my quadrants on the side. And then you can, right here, when you put your cursor on top of where it says pivot table field, you can left click, hold it, and snap it out. And also it gives you more space. Small tip, but hopefully you can find it useful, especially when you're working with Power Pivot and you have a data model that has many tables. That extra space is kind of neat. It's kind of helpful. All right, so now we go to this pivot table, and now we're just gonna put the incrementer on rows. Once we do that, now we can just close this, and right here on this pivot table, we just gotta do remove the total, and then we are gonna do actually right click, pivot table options, and we are gonna deselect this one out of it. So it's a little bit annoying that we can just take it out of it. That's the only part. All right. Now, why did we need the incrementer? Going back to this, because the incrementer is sort of the header of this spill range, which is necessary for the pivot table. Because in the pivot table is saying, okay, this is sort of, okay, this is the small data set, but incrementer is the header, okay, of this column, simple column. And then number 4, you will see that it doesn't exist on my table, okay? We only have A, B, C, and A through C, but then what I'm gonna use is 4 as an all part, okay? Why? Because now I'm gonna insert my pivot, my slicer, and I put it right here. And see, the cool thing about slicers is that they're kind of like very, I don't know, I find them that they offer a better user experience for the user instead of data validations. Although they both have different uses, of course, but when it comes to this whole thing of dashboards and all that, the slicers really kind of are neat, because you, with just one click, the whole chart could change, okay? Now let's just step back, and now we're gonna move this part right here, and actually all this, and let's move it here. And now also, when you throw slicers into Excel, they also throws you like that, and that's a very generic name. And unfortunately, the bad part about this is that Excel doesn't tell you where that slicer is. I mean, it just tells you the name, but it doesn't tell you on what sheet it is and all that. So what I do right now is just, I'm gonna switch this to 03. Okay, so I'll continue and I'll switch the slicer at the end. and that's it. So again, as you see, step 1, steps 2, step 3 is just a good practice from my side, especially if you see my work, it's always like that. So that way I can know where to debug faster. I can find the place that is messing up, and hopefully, I don't know if hopefully it could be useful for you. Okay, and then now we got that, but now we're gonna bring this pivot table and we're gonna replace it with this. Okay, so what I can put it right here, right next to it. Okay, and now this, I'm just gonna switch it to here. These references, I'm just gonna switch it to this one. And now these ones, well, this one is just doing an X lookup. Sorry for that, I didn't zoom in. Okay, and then these ones now are referring to that. So now, with the click of a button, and if you see my work on LinkedIn, it's pretty much repeating this part a lot. I mean, just building the complexity on one cell, but then linking it to a pivot table, because the pivot table is the bridge for the slicer. So, and that's it. Once you do 4, look at what happens. Why? Because the thing is that 4 doesn't exist on this table, on this tiny table. So what we do now is actually right here. If this cell equals 4, okay, then do 0, and that's it. Actually, and I think, let me just connect my laptop. I didn't fix this part because right here on this one, you do see on step 3, but this one, what happened that I didn't pick up my old part? Maybe it's because of this. Yeah. Huh. All right. Okay. Okay. So I fixed that, not on purpose. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I probably was editing the workbook and I didn't notice that. So what I'm doing on this if part of the let, sort of saying that whenever you find on the previous, or actually on number array 2, number 4, just put the all. Okay. And I'm gonna explain why. Click enter, and now I go to my pivot table right here, and I just click refresh. Boom, and then that's it. And then this part of 4, you can delete it. There's 2 ways. In case sometimes you guys see this and it annoys you, you can right click there and go to slicer settings, and you can go right here and hide items with no data. Once you do that, it should go away. That's one way to do it. Then the other way is to go to the pivot table, click more options. And once you're in this window, you go to data, and you can right here where it says retain items deleted from your data source. You switch that to none, and it will do the same thing. Okay, and click refresh, and then that's it. 2 ways to get to the same thing. That's what's awesome about Excel. So now that I have the all function, is because sometimes, and I don't know why, if anybody has feedback on this, it will be awesome to hear, because what happens is that many of the users, they don't know that they can hold control and they can select 2 items, okay? And that's gonna be example number 2. What happens if a user selects 2 buttons, okay? That's possible too with dynamic arrays. But in this case, we just wanted to, with one button, do all. So that way it will show, well, actually, and we have to fix that. It's not number 4. We have to switch that to all. And there we go, right here. Because, and this is what I've been learning about UX, which is very fascinating, that you have to make it accessible for the end user. So to have just the all button, and for one click, it will show everything, is easier than they have to learn about this. And sometimes, or that they have to do all 3, you know. I don't know why, but it's what I've been noticed, that you want to make it as easier as possible, or make it more accessible for the user. I don't like to, there's a school of thought that says that the users are dumb and that you have to make it stupidly simple, but I don't know, I don't like the word dumb about that, but I like it that it's more accessible and user-friendly. I'm gonna take a break now, and let me see if anybody has a question or comments, and we'll be good. So this way, I don't want to just keep talking and talking and talking. You can open your mic. Is that okay for us? If they open their mic, and maybe if they have a question, or if you want to put them on the chat, I will welcome any questions, please, or any
Sure.
suggestions as well.
Sure, Carlos, no problem. I'm just checking on YouTube.
Carlos,
Yes.
so
Yep.
you added when you inserted that name into that one of the formulas, you added exclamation mark and a pound sign. What does that do? I never done that before. What does that do?
Oh, you mean on the name manager? Oh, let me just go to that.
Yeah.
Right
I
here,
never
right?
seen that. Yeah, I never seen that before.
Right here. Okay, so the thing is that when you are working with Excel charts, the way to reference them, it has to be through this way. I mean, you just can't pull F15, so you can't pull only this part until the source of the Excel chart. You have to put the name of the sheet, the exclamation, then the dollar sign, and then the dollar signs to make the cell fixed. But then the cherry is this part right here, the pound, the hash. Oh, sorry, the pound
sign. Yeah,
the pound sign, and that's it. I mean, the rest of the formula is living in the cell, but that's the only. This is your bridge to make the spill range to be charted or plotted. Does that make sense, or do you want me to? I can show in another way.
I got you. I got you. I think I know what you're doing. Yeah. I use references, but I never reference it this way. I think I know what you're doing.
And you mean reference that you put the formula in right here, the whole formula? Because that's also one, I never tried it, but I believe it's possible, right?
No, I actually put the whole formula inside the cell. I never used the name manager as a bridge to do something, or I have used the indirect formula and call it through the name of the sheet, but I never done it this way. So
okay. Well, let me show you now. We're gonna finalize this example. Is there any other like questions before jumping into now making the chart?
No, nothing so far.
No, nothing. Okay. So now the part of, since we're right here now making a simple bar chart, a vertical bar, a horizontal bar chart. Now we just go to insert and just plot this a 2-bar. Okay. But then this is not what we want. What we want actually is from the spill range. Okay. So we go right click. I think David, who made the question, right? So add data. Now we put value here. Just zoom in. Okay. And now here comes the best part. So my edit series, okay, this one you have to put the values. I'm gonna click this cell, but I'm gonna go slowly delete all the cell reference up to the exclamation, and then I press F3, and this nice window is gonna pop up, and I'm gonna say I want the incrementer, not the slicer, but the incrementer. I put that, and now that is actually your define name inserted into the chart. You close this, and now click OK. Now maybe we can delete this. We don't want that. And now we got to do it for the horizontal or categorical axis. Click Edit. And actually, my bad. I went too fast again. Let me just hold it here. Okay. See, I went too fast. See, we need to reference these two spill ranges, okay? I did reference this one, but actually, I went too fast. Sorry about that, guys. I think I'm getting a little bit nervous. Okay. So what we want here, the incrementer, we don't want to reference this part. I actually went a little bit fast. We want to switch the slicer to be actually number 2. Yep. And number 3, yeah, I don't know how I got confused on this part. Sorry. It's number 3, and it's going to be items, values. And here we're going to delete this whole thing. Oh, actually, no, wait. Getting to number 3, this is fine. I'm sorry. It's just the number 4 is actually the one that we have to add. Let me just click this. All right. So we open the name manager. Actually, all right. It's not letting me. What? Okay, because of that. Okay. And now we're going to go right here. We're going to actually reference these two arrays because these are ones that are going to be plotted. So now I go to the cell where it kind of lives, okay, right here. And this is another tip before going forward, that I usually color the cell. And check this out. I don't know if some people notice that. If you color the cell and it has a dynamic array function in it, and you have formatted vertically, look, when I go right to the cell and I click F2, I don't know what's that. F3, can that go away? All right. Okay, that's not working. Let me just do it again. Okay, I just had to do that. All right, there we go. See, I don't know. I discovered this maybe 2 years ago. I noticed that when you color the cell and the cell has a long, lengthy formula, the space within that where that formula lives is also colored. So that's why if you go to this one and if we do F2, nothing, we can see only white. But if you color it, let me just switch it to a mild gray, and you go right here and you do F2. Now you can see on the background, it kind of gives you that contrast. Tiny tip, I guess, but it's kind of useful, especially if you're working with dynamic arrays. So now we have to go back to the name manager and we have to go to new, and we have to tell her that we want 04, which is gonna be item or items, and we're gonna do E5 where that cell is living, okay, E5, but we're gonna put that pound sign, okay. And now we gotta do another one. We go click new, and we're gonna do 05 and do values. And then we just gotta switch this carefully, F2, or I mean, switch it from an E to an F, and then pound sign, okay, right here, and click OK. And then that's it. Look at this again. The reference, very simple compared to what we used to do before, the old school way, which was bringing the offsets and putting them inside here in order to make the charts. With dynamic arrays, it just makes life way more easier. Now we can now go right here, select data, and we go to add data, and we can actually put to reference this, but here is the difference. Here comes the big difference. Here, now we put exclamation, F3, and here we do want to do reference number 5, which is values, okay, okay. And now we can take this one out of, let me just double check, there we go, and click OK. And now we also got to do the horizontal axis, which we go to this cell, we delete the cell's reference, which is in fixed mode, but we do F3 and then we put items. All right, click OK, click OK, click OK. Now, this is your chart. And if you click all, it will show you all. If you click 3, it's the same thing. But, and again, I'm just adding the all, so it's kind of nice to sort of have that option where with just one click, you can show everything. And in this, and also in this example, I wanted to show you with the incrementer. Now, say that you have new data, and let's delete this and add it to the table. Look at what's gonna happen, all these arrays also, they gotta increase. And this is the beauty, because those spill range were referenced to a table, which you can think is an elastic container, okay? Hopefully that metaphor kind of sinks. And there you go, you have them all here. And oh, I remember why I put Y in there. That's, and we can make this better. We put 6. It should be actually, we should bring something more robust here, which will be a max of that array, and that will fix it. Okay, so incremental 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the only thing that you gotta do is just to right click this pivot table and refresh. So those two new rows, D and E, appear on this slicer. So right click and then refresh. And now we can go and you can see that this is sort of the beauty of the sort of dynamic arrays for charts. I'll stop again here and see if anybody has a question.
Carlos, this is Bill.
Hi, Bill. Oh, hi. How are you, Bill?
Doing great. This is fascinating. I have a question, probably in the category of neither here nor there. Did the coders at Microsoft put this stuff in there on purpose and we're just now figuring it out? Was it there for some other purpose and really bright folks such as you have figured out other uses for it? Of course, extrapolating, the conclusion is the question is, how many other little gems are hiding in there that I still haven't learned about? Do you have any insight into this?
Well, again, I think if it's us still, I didn't bore him. He's not sleeping. I don't know if you guys see my book here. It's right here. The thing is, like, there's a quote that he mentions that says along these words that says, if Excel can't do it, you can find a way to hack Excel to do it anyways. And I think this is sort of going to your question, the gems, that some of the features were not intended to do this, but you kind of have to come to it with a hacking mentality to sort of take advantage of it. And the same thing, yeah, us, yeah, go ahead, please. I think I
don't have much to add. I just would say I'm still here, but I don't know if the engineers had this particular use in mind. They're always amazed by some of the things that we show them that we're doing when we go to the summit.
Yeah, right. Because yeah, it's not so intuitive. I mean, how did I discover it? Is built connecting the dots. Like, you learn to master one part of the tool well. Like, for example, I love slicers. I kind of put them all the time for all the pivot tables. Users love them. With just one click, it just filters the whole table and all that, or the pivot table. Then, okay, you know that slicers can do that, and that you can just grab a tiny pivot table, connect it to that slicer. So you can sort of replace the slicers with your data validations. And then you can also think of go to developer tab and go to think of these buttons too.
That was my next question. Is I was wondering if you could do this with spin buttons.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah, of course. Say, for example, developer, we throw insert and say we drop this one right here. Say that we go back and we switch it back to right here, but let's just configure it real quick. Format control, and then do from 0. So, okay, so this is a part of us right here, because the thing is that you have to define a max value. So in this case, you can put 100, but see, and this is also, this is a good question, because sometimes when it comes to this approach of dynamic arrays combined with Excel charts, you have to come to it in a way that if the data increases, that your parameters also adjust accordingly. In this one right now, because we're fixing 100 here, then we don't have 100 values yet. And say that we go over 100, then we have to go back to this format control pane and fix that parameter. So yes, it's a way that you can do it. Of course, in this case, we can put a 6 and we can connect this now to format control. I think we just got to put it, maybe we can put this in between. And now click OK. And if we move that, we get all that. And if we go to 0, perfect. And we can connect this, link it to that. But the only negative about that is that, say that you got more data. And then what happens is that you have to go back to this format control and update. So I take a good advice, I guess. He said it within the formula context. I think was, again, Daniel Ferry. He said that the best formula is the one that is easy to maintain, easy to fix, and easy to debug. And also, this is also, I take that sort of advice to this, is that when building dynamic array charts, try to build it in a way that if new data comes, you don't have to retouch anything of the features. It just, you automatically update your pivot table, for example, and that's it, everything will adjust, all the parameters will adjust.
Yeah, and I like that you're getting into the context of things. Like I focus on so much as the context is, supposing I have, 5 offices. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not likely to have a 6th office pop up next week and then a 7th later next week.
Yeah.
Right. So then, I'm not going to have to do too much fiddling around.
Okay. So then, then that's that. Okay. Then that's important, because then if you're going to have to be switching this all the time, then then if you find that, for example, the user, and it's always at the end is the end user, if the end user prefers to have this button, if for that user, this kind of spin button is more intuitive, then go with it. Go with it. If it is more intuitive, the slicer, then go with that. And if it's intuitive with the data validations, then go with that too as well. What the beauty is that you have so many options. I mean, 3 options that we mentioned, then there could be more. Macros, for example, you can select the macro to sort of as a trigger to a form, and that form can have a nice shape. Yeah. Yeah, Excel is fun. Excel, this stuff. Oh, why now? This is not working because let's just connect it back to that. And all right. Okay, so we'll go back to example number 2. I guess we'll leave it up to 5. I think right here I'll admit that it kind of became redundant to add the all, since we already have 5 and all. But the thing is, I wanted to show you that it's nice to add some buttons. Let's see if maybe for example number 2 we'll see. So let me just go through the tips. I think tip number 3. So tip number 4: try to enumerate your stuff. Again, as you can see,
so I'm still thinking about this stuff, because if you had like 90, that's gonna clog up a slicer.
90. Okay. Good question. So there is features within the slicer where, for example, on this one, you can put it like this. So you can play around with how many columns you want it to show. Maybe you want to do 3, maybe like that. So you can play around with that. Say, for example, if you don't have too much space to place the slicer, maybe we put it like this. Then the slicer automatically pulls you this, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can increase it. So at the end, it's always comes to a design decision to sort of how much space you have within your dashboard or your display to sort of allocate the slicer. And also you can take out the header if you know that you're gonna label the header in another way. So again, let me show you an example here. And if Claudia is still around, I'm working on the course, which is about explaining all the charts that I did, separated by each module. And I was refining this one. It was actually my first dynamic array chart that I did, where actually we can, let me just do a little bit so you can guys see it a little bit better. All right, I think it's good. There it's good. So here, for example, this is data that is real. It's sort of the Amazon revenues all the way up to 2019. And for example, that we can go all the way to 2021, and Amazon keeps growing. But with dynamic arrays, which is this part right here, as you can see, I'm sort of going sideways. Everything is built in a way that I use the slicers as my triggers to sort of switch the chart. So in this chart, you're seeing values, absolute values, just sales. And then if I switch it to see the percentage change year over year, we can notice that there's been 2 years in 2019 and 2021 that the year over year has decreased, and we can see that with those black lines. Now that's just design decisions to sort of make it like that. I'm actually inspired by the work of Klaus. He's a Tableau guy. He made this in Tableau and sort of inspired myself to do it. I just noticed that he was also doing the same thing. He will switch with a couple of Tableau buttons, the chart. And I say, well, how about if we do it with dynamic arrays? And that's where my whole journey with this started, just me playing around and having fun with dynamic arrays. Now, if you wanted to switch this to a net margin, now you can see that Amazon is still increasing its net margin, but back in 2014, it was a company that it was not profitable in theory. And you can see also that the x-axis adjusts accordingly. If we go to revenue, you can see that here we talk about billions. If we go switch it to percentage, that we keep as a simple number, but we take out the percentage and we put it on the label. And the beauty of this, and I love what that Oz in his video, always have the example of what happens if new data comes in, right? So let's just remove this and say, I kind of went into the web and say, can I get the data of Amazon from 06 to 13? So we do this, we just snap it. We just put it like that, right? We move it, but we put it under the table. And the beauty of table, that they're like elastic containers. We put that there, boom. And that's it. Now, look at my slicers over here. They're not updated. Now I have to go to this one right here. Click up, refresh. Oh, wait. Let me see what's happening here. First of all, I have to smallest to largest. I want to see data from 2014, but these slicers are coming from right here. And this one, let's do 2015, but we want to update. The reference is invalid. So this is what happens sometimes, when you go live, you get these sort of hiccups. What is years? Why it's not updating? And this is years. Again, look, as you can see my work, I'm always enumerating all the stuff, so that way it can easier. Now I know that something's happening here. It's kind of weird. This didn't happen before. But again, since the stuff that I want to do is just to update the slicer so I can see year from 06 to appear on this slicer. That for some reason is not showing up, and kind of answers also your observation of what happens if you have a lot of data. Let's see if we can. So real quick, so that's reference to I9 years. Okay, no, that's AE. That's good. And that's,
I have a general question.
Yeah, please go ahead, please.
Is all this replicable in a Mac? Because that's been my challenge. I see a lot of great videos like what you have here, but they're all done in PCs. And
from what my understanding, David, I don't think the dynamic arrays are still available on Mac. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I know,
it's still there in Mac.
They're there. Okay.
Yeah, if you're using Office 365 subscription, you have dynamic arrays on the Mac, and you can use them. And what Carlos is demonstrating, you can even replicate the same way what you're doing right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm aware that we have dynamic arrays in 365. I'm just wondering if every function that he has used here and everything that he has built is doable in a Mac. And I think the answer is yes.
You can replicate that in the Mac as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Here, I don't know what's happening. I have to double check. I don't like that message. To be honest, I'm not sure if I've seen it before, but everything looks good at 3 years. Maybe 3 years is not. Maybe it's 04. Oh, okay. So we have to fix this. The correct reference is not 03. It's actually 04. Now click OK. And now, there we go. See, check this out. Oz, I know you asked. So again, I can do this. It's just a design question, maybe. But then again, this becomes really small right here. Or I can just make the slicer a little bit bigger. And then see, I have all the years. I can start from 06. And this is I'm getting ahead of myself for example number 3, but this is the cool part. There in the web, on LinkedIn, and in general, everybody talks about storytelling with data. I think that dynamic arrays offer that possibility that with a button, a slicer, and you trigger that to your chart, and your chart will update. Then now that you can do storytelling. So say, for example, somebody's presenting this and he's saying, hey, in 06, we started with 10 billion, and then we went to 07 and we increased to 14, and he gives story, he gives context, he gives pros and all that, and people are enthused. Then he said, well, 2 more years later, our revenue keeps increasing. So you can see that with just one button, the person is sort of updating his chart, and you can see all the values here are updating accordingly. I think what's missing here is still not out, because I want to make the titles dynamic so that they adjust accordingly to the time frame that those values are within. So you can start saying for some storytelling with data eventually is that sort of using motion creates emotion, sort of, so kind of help you to translate your message. All right, I'll close this because it's still work in progress, and I'll fix that later. All right, so I guess we were on tip number 5, which was that you can reference your DAs. We saw this. You can a pivot table can reference to a dynamic array or a spill range. Okay, hopefully you take that home. The pivot table slicers can be good UX for the end users. It's been my experience that they prefer them since they only have to click, and also because when you hold over, it kind of puts you on different color. So you kind of say, do you want this one or you want this one? But that small effect, which in UX is called, I think, feedback, apparently, is good for the user. So the user knows, okay, I'm about to click here or I'm about to click that. Tip number 7, that we talk about this, that I color the cells where the dynamic array lives. And I can show you guys a new example here. I'm about to unveil chart number 31, and I'm still, something is missing here. I don't know what's pending. I have to figure it out, but I know it's still not done. This is sort of a jitter box plot to sort of compare, say, if somebody went to a company and say, how much I make compared to my peers. And if you were to plot all job levels across the chart, how would that look? Say you're analyst number 6. You will find yourself right here on this dot. Again, it's all built with dynamic arrays. And the beauty of it is that if I just do 2 positions, the chart will adjust to those 2. Maybe if we do a non-adjacent category engineer, it kind of grabs that and put it there. And also check out this, and this is outside the scope of this tutorial, sorry, because this takes a little bit of time to sort of also explain how to use this sort of user form, which is, I believe is this one, is the combo box, I think. Yeah, the combo box. So you can see the combo box can only show you what's available selected by your pivot table slicer. So that's kind of cool. And I also added another function here that no highlight. That option doesn't live on my data. I just added it with dynamic arrays. Now that formula is a little bit, complex, and it takes a bit of time. I like to break things so I can explain each part and sort of get metaphorical about it. But the formula, I call this the backbone formula, because it is what makes everything alive with this chart. Just open here, right here, and just open myself here. Okay, you can see that right here, I color these cells, and I did it on purpose because once I do F2, this is what happens. Now you're seeing a crazy formula, and I apologize. Again, when I talked to financial modelers, they told me this will never be in their work professionally because it's too complex in case the other person needs to audit it and all that. And I understand that, it's a good position. But I'm just coloring the cell, so that way when I open the formula, I can have that sort of box created that sort of confines the formula. And you can see the contrast with the white of the spreadsheet background compared to the cell. And that's where you only see that is right here. And that's the formula to make this chart sort of possible. And this is the only part that is sort of lengthy and complex, because then the other arrays are simple formulas, sequence of this, a simple if here. Well, this one is with the new functions by row that are sort of lambda helpers. That was necessary because unfortunately, believe it or not, there's no quartile if. There is some if, there's count if, but there's no quartile if or median if, which is amazing that they don't exist. You have to do lambda and to make them possible. And I don't know if Mike Gervin will see this, but him and Peter Bartolomeo kind of helped me to sort of get this function, because I was really struggling to sort of implement it, because median if is important within box plots. Okay, so I'll step back here, and how do we do in time for us? Are we good? I haven't checked on that. We are about an hour, I think.
Yes, we are
okay.
on time.
We're on time. Okay. So tip number A is simpler referencing. That again, I think go back to David Tallow that is on the meeting here and asking some good questions. Again, that you only have to do, you have to reference to the cell and add the hashtag to sort of be the bridge from the cell to the chart. Tip number 9, yes, you have to read this. This came out, I think, this year. I'm not kidding. Maybe I can hopefully, you have to read this blog post from John Pilcher called Good Chart Data. Maybe I can, I'm gonna share this workbook. I don't know how we're gonna distribute it so you can guys have a copy of it. But if you click here, John talks about how you need to have data for charts. And it's a good post. It's a lengthy one. I think it should have been posted many years ago. I think he even mentions that on the blog post, but he kind of nicely did it. And really, like, you will understand that why data needs to be put in a certain way in order to be plotted. In essence, everything with charts needs to be its own separate array, separate component, and then to be plotted. And he explains that. And also another highlight of it, that it has to be put vertically, like down. Okay, and I'll show you guys an example later on. That's something still a work in progress. So on this example right here, and it's gonna be much simpler than the previous one, is about how do we do with a slicer. How about if I don't have an incrementer button? How about if I do 2? So maybe I want users to select 2 selections that could be adjacent or not adjacent. So the way to do it is first of all, we convert this to a pivot table, sorry. Control T, convert this, table design. I just get gradish, and I believe if we're following this, it's gonna be 06, okay. We go right here and do 06 data, and then enter. Right there, 06 data. And all right, check this out. Now I think 06 is actually gonna be my unique function. And now this is kind of not silly, but you know, the thing is that this is a small sample, but I want you guys to understand that it will also apply if your data set is like 10,000 rows. I just want the unique item of this small table. And I have to do a reference of, as you can see right here, 06 data, which refers to that table, hashtag all, which remains, I'm grabbing the header, but within this header, I'm grabbing the column item. And that's what those brackets are sort of saying in a simple way. I do enter, and now I'm gonna reference this, okay, because I'm gonna link this to a pivot table, like I did, the same process. We can go a little bit faster here, and we go new. And now here we can say 07 items. And we do hashtag on here and click OK. Perfect. Then we click close, and now we go to insert pivot table, and we delete all that. We do function 3 with your keyboard, and we do 07 items, and we tell her we want in a new existing worksheet. Here is fine. We throw that item, okay, pivot table on rows. Then we can close that. We're not gonna need it anymore. We can take the total and then right click, pivot table options, and we can take out this, the out of it, which is located on layout and format. We can take out the out of it. Okay, click OK. All right. So now we have this. Oh, all right. Sure. Okay, why? Because I'm not selecting the whole thing. All right. So now I'm gonna throw in my slicers item. And now again, since you throw a slicers, again, eventually it doesn't tell you, I mean, it kind of tells you once you're building all this, but again, slicer item doesn't tell you where it lives, okay? Now we're gonna do 08 and a slicer, we can do a slicer item slicer, example number 2, maybe. There's something that separates the first one. Okay, as you can see, everything is enumerated. Perfect. And now I have this. Let's see if I do 2, let's say I want A and C. How can I make that on my spill range that it will only be A and C? All right, for that, and I'm really grateful to Mike Gervin because he made a tutorial about this, about filtering a list. So, you know, usually we filter just one value. Once in DAX, they call it scalar value, but one value, okay? But how about if you want a list of values? So that your formula is right here on screen. So I'm gonna copy this. All right, so I don't take time building it. And I'll explain it. Copy. Because there's 2 parentheses. All right, example number 2. Yeah, look, let's just throw it there. Maybe we gotta, you know what happens that on this table, I need to add that this is data, example number 2. All right, now, there we go. All right. Okay, maybe, there we go. Okay. Whew. See if we can bring more space here. I'm sorry to ask this, but when I'm zooming in, is it clear for you guys to see it? Hopefully, yes.
Yes, Carlos, it's clear. Yeah.
It's clear. Okay. All right. So this is what the formula is doing. We're bringing filter, our filter function, and we go back to tip number 2, is that you have to learn each individual dynamic array function by its own self because they're so powerful within they alone that when you combine them, it's just so many possibilities out there. So now I'm filtering my array. I want to filter this, but now I have to sort of bring the is number and X match. And the is number is just to convert my X match from numbers to falses and trues. And then those true and falses will go into the filter. How about if we do this? We just drop it in. And actually something is happening there. Let me see why is, oh, exactly. It's because it has to go right here. There we go. All right, that was a little bit of a hiccup there. It has to be related to that. And there's a caveat to this, okay? This is not perfect, but it's sort of the fix for now. I think maybe, I haven't explored this. I'll tell you guys, maybe cube functions might be, I haven't tried it, but I think there's a possibility with cube functions, okay, when it comes to this, with a caveat. So let's just break this formula and bring the X match, copy this and put it right next to it and see what it does, just the X match. So eventually what I'm saying, okay, X match, this column where the whole thing lives, looking up this other section or array where it's being filtered by the slicer. If I do that, I get 1 NA and 2, okay? That's good because the NA is not finding the B, right? Now what we do is actually, now we grab, in order to convert that to true and falses, we are using number. And eventually I'll put the link on this sheet, the tutorial of Mike Gervin from Excel is Fun, that he kind of goes into this. It kind of dropped from heaven for me because I always was wondering, how can you filter by list especially with the charts, because maybe you want to do non-adjacent selections, then this is your formula. Enter. And now we get true and falses. Perfect. And now, since filter works with these, okay, then now we bring all this within the filter function. And that's what you see right here completely. And if we color the cell as a tip that I've shared right here, then you can see, look at that. It's kind of the background where the formula lives is also color, gives you that contrast for easy reading. And that's it. That's pretty much it. But the caveat, as I said, it was this, that see the reference right here. This is not good. This is not good. It's not robust. It's not, and when I say robust, it's that, you know, somebody can go right here and include a row in between. It can just mess it up. I think I learned it again from your book, that it was like, I don't know what page is it. I have to go back to the page, but it was about making dynamic spreadsheets, you know, that they can grow. And if they grow in a way that you don't have to retouch them too much. You know, you want them to grow according to the data, but I don't know. It was a nice philosophy about dynamic spreadsheet development.
Wow. Thanks. Wow.
And that book was influential. You know, recently I know I'm late to the party. Just in case, guys, I'm not a BBA person. I suck at BBA. I still have a hard time. But I got this book. I know it's old. Maybe some of you have it. This book is called Excel Professional Development.
Oh,
and I thought it was gonna be a small book, but check this out. Look how big it is. Like 1,000 pages. It's huge. When I received it, I was like, no way. But I'm gonna have to go through it just to, you know, my view and my desire is to sort of not become a BBA expert, but to sort of grab some BBA futures, combine it to the charts or dynamic array charts. Yeah. And yeah.
Jordan Goldmeyer suggested that book to me, and I bought it. And yeah, this book is like, what I should have known when Jordan Goldmeyer suggested it to me. That's the thing.
Yeah. Look at that. It's like 4 fingers. No kidding.
Right. Yeah.
4
And
fingers.
I set it down somewhere. I don't even know where it is right now.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And everybody has, you know, some of the BBA guys always refer to that as the Bible of BBA. So I say, well, it has to have something. It does have a lot of cool chapters that, you know, sort of the craftsmanship that we talked for us at the beginning of the talk, make it to be, okay, now you can make your craftsmanship to be more professional, you know. And that book kind of gives you, I think, overwhelming set of tips and advice. So I will recommend it if anybody wants to get it. But if you are going with that mindset of, okay, I want to learn some BBA, and yeah, the book seems intimidating, but it kind of is good. All right, we go back to this, and now it's just about doing the next column, and I'll take a break after that, because here I'm just gonna do a sum if, basic sum if, and I'm just gonna do a range of this, of where the item is, because that's gonna be related to what's the criteria that I'm looking. And here it's important that once I do the hashtag, it kind of spills or expands the range. And then I'm gonna do sales. And then check this out. I know this is a tiny formula, but even with this, I even get picky. I do this. And I'm sorry, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I found it that it could be a stupidity, but it can also, I don't know, just what am I looking? Range,
maybe
criteria,
you should try,
range.
Carlos, maybe you should try pasting it into advanced formula environment.
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't played around with it, but I saw your tutorial for us, and I have to check that, and I have to check the on stack.
Yeah.
That's also, I needed that a while ago.
Tomorrow I'm going to release another video on that. The entire
nice.
45 minutes. So It is entirely like deep, purely deep into advanced formula environment.
Oh no, nice.
You can
nice.
try that, and the indenting has been done awesome, in that.
Nice. Oh wow, nice. Well, yeah, looking for it because I needed it. Well, the first video is phenomenal. I needed that, but at the end I didn't figure it out, and I just left it there. But now I'm gonna go check it out and see what was that I was needed it for. I think it was for, say that you put data like that in a way in a table, and then it will just spill the other way, like what you did. So yeah, okay. All right, so just to wrap up on here. So I guess let's see, where are we with 08? So I did put this reference 09 and 010. So if I don't mess up again, because I did mess up, sorry about that. New, I'm gonna say this is gonna be my reference 09 items, example number 2, and hashtag here, okay. And then new again, and I'm gonna do 010 values, and then here I have to know that it's H, so I have to replace this G letter with an H and then add the pound sign. Okay. Once I do that, then you guys know the rest. We'll do it real quick. We throw another bar chart, and then we do that, but then check this out. See, this is what happens. If you don't work with A and B is gonna work, A and C is gonna work, but see if we do the 3 of them. Okay, C is not being plotted. Why? We click there and we see that those reference to the cells are now updating accordingly. So that's why we have to go and replace them. Go value here, edit, and it's gonna be just that. Here, I'm just gonna zoom in, click here, delete the cell reference, do F3. Here we're gonna do values. Yeah, I should have put example number 2. Okay, and do edit here and click here, replace this, or the exclamation. We cannot delete the exclamation, that's important. And then we put items from example number 2. Okay. And this is say, guys, this is what's needed. Say that only want A and C. Then there you go, right there, plot it. Maybe we want B and C, or those are adjacent. Maybe A and B, okay, but A and C. And that's what maybe I can show you guys a real example here real quick. Well, yeah, I showed you previously, but maybe another example just to sort of, or right here, for example, this one was kind of fun too, but it was a struggle to pull it out. What I wanted is, say that you want, I mean, you are comparing the world population of prisons across countries. United States being the first one, that's a pity. China being second and Russia being third. But the metrics are prison population, per capita, then jail occupancy level on sentence, and then women prisoners. But say that you only wanted to show, just want to show prison population and on sentence prisoners. With a slicer, you click here, and then you click with a control key, you have to hold it down, and then you just got those two right there plotted. So we can see something that just pops out, that China doesn't report to the world how many people they sent to prisons and without a sentence, because it's blank. Okay, maybe something, it could be in the data, we need to evaluate the context. But you can also see later that, wow, Brazil, or actually India, wow, India, this data is real, it's from BBC. India has, is 4th or 5th, but then it has a lot of people on prison. And maybe we can put the labels, so that way it could be better. I don't know where the labels are. Show values, show labels, okay. Where we can do this, and we can also put the labels for the prison population. So again, I'm using non-adjacent selections here. And the formula behind it is that simple filter X number X match. That, again, very thankful to Mike Gervin, because he's the one who put it out. And then I was like, mind blown. I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I needed. And I went and applied it. And here now, okay, now you see this is critical. India, 70% of people haven't been sentenced. It's terrible. And if we go, maybe we can do maybe jail occupancy level here. We can grab that. Oh, I don't know what happened. Let me see. Oh, okay. So that's for the labels. We need this one right here. And then occupancy level. You do have the option. And this is kind of nice because now you go to Kenya and now you see, oh my God, I wouldn't, yeah. If you go to prison in Kenya, you're in deep trouble because all the prisons are overpopulated, 284%. So, and then the one thing that I was discussing with a friend, a colleague, it was like, wow, if you look at the percentages, look, there are like many countries, even on Europe, they're over 100, you know, which is alarming because maybe you want this number to be 80 to 90, maybe the lower the better. But then again, you need the context to know if those percentages are within correct ranges, you know. All right. Any questions up to now to go to the last example? I'll close this.
No questions so far, Carlos.
No question. I see there's a lot of chats. I haven't checked the chat
Yeah.
really. I'll check the chat later, but I know there's like 60 comments. I don't wanna. There's a lot of comments. I'll go through them in a few. All right. And then I guess tip number 10, I guess, is to source the unique items from DA. What this means is that some people have asked me, well, what about if you produce the slicer from the pivot, from the table where it lives? Well, the thing is, and I can bring this, I can bring, where is it? Is horizons, where dynamic horizons, okay. The thing is that can create bloat. It can create an extra space on your file, which is not needed. So for example, on this table right here, for this example, we're also using dynamic arrays. I believe that we have about, wow, yeah, it's a lot of data. 10,000 rows. We're working, yeah, 10,000 rows, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yes, 10,000 rows. So the thing is that to produce a slicer from this table that has 10,000 rows, you will adding a cache, a pivot cache to your file, which really is not needed. And that's just gonna increase the file size. So again, in that sense, it's just creating bloat, you know, something that is extra that is not needed on the file. And that's the tip number 10. Okay. If you have large data sets, if it's small, then yeah, go ahead and produce a slicer from the pivot table. But you have to know what data you're working on. And then tip number 11 is just like storytelling with your data. I mean, using dynamic arrays. And this is what we're gonna do in example number 3. Okay, and again, this is another simple example. Again, what we're doing here is just to make a nice line chart, but we're gonna add some couple of nice things. So if you were to present it, and if you were to talk about it every year, what's happening, then the chart is gonna adjust accordingly. So what we need to do this is, again, the same process. We convert this to a pivot, to a table, okay? And what happened there? We just gotta click OK. We decided to be a little bit grayish and boring. And I think it's on reference number 11. Right there. Number 3, 11, data, example number 3. All right. Again, you also want to use on your reference, really like explicit name, really like something that is not so like an acronym, something that sort of is more explicit than an acronym. If you are going to hand this to another person, if you are the only one going to touch this and you understand those acronyms and you document those acronyms, like sort of making a dictionary, then okay, that's good. But else, try to do explicit names. All right. So once we have this, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do unique items. And again, unique items of this whole table. And then we got the year, because the year is gonna go, this is gonna go into a pivot table slicers, okay? And then back up. Okay, and then new, it's gonna be 012. This. and then we do pound. So as you can see, I'm repeating myself, and you can see how simple the process is, just to sort of, is that you have to define this and bring it there. And now I believe that's one. All right, this is our formula. And I think if I put a 11 data example number 3, I believe that was the name. Yep. And now we can just copy this formula right here without the equal sign. And we're gonna put it right here. And actually, wait, before that, we're gonna make the pivot table, insert pivot table. We delete this stuff, F3. Then we bring year. Okay, and oh, well, I went too fast, and it's put in on a separate sheet 3 right here. I'm gonna put in rows. Maybe just take out the grand total. Right click, pivot table options. I just don't want the auto fit off. Okay. And I'm just gonna grab this, bring it to example number 3. I'll put it for now right here. For now, we'll put it right here. Take out that. Yeah, it's fine. And here we bring a slicer, simple slicer, year. All right, perfect. All right, so now what I'm doing here is I'm gonna say I want data up to 17. Okay, that's my trigger again. So now I'm just gonna copy this formula right here, put it equal signs. All right, so we gotta bring that and put it right here. So let's just bring, well, actually, you know what? Let's just make it simpler. We put it right here, but we just reference to right here, right? So once what I'm doing here is I'm going to the table, I'm filtering, but I'm filtering whatever is less than or equal to the year that I'm sort of triggering with my slicers. That in this case is 2017. I click enter. And now again, if we go and check out the slicer, maybe we can do on right here, we can do 2 columns. Yeah, 2 columns or maybe 3, yeah, that's fine. And put it right here. There you go. So see, that's the beauty. It's a simple effect, but it's so powerful when it comes to dynamic charts that this is only the setup that you need to do. The complexity and the difficulty is more on the formulas. All right. Once we have that, then the other part is just a basic sum if. You can also do X lookup for this case, but let's do sum if. I think I have to just call this. There we go. There we go. And we check. Nice. And then now we bring the last point. Now the last point is a basic if, okay? Which is just saying, and look at the reference, okay, guys? This is what's interesting. I mean, when it comes to dynamic arrays, sometimes you don't have to put the dollar signs. It depends how you build the data source to the chart. But in this case, for example, I'm just putting the cell G5 and then pound equals, okay, what's the max of this array equals to its relative position. If it matches, then grab what's on H, on column, on the H column. Else, do NA. And NA, I know for a lot of people who work with VLOOKUP, they hated it. They hate those NAs, and they're like, I don't want those. I don't want to see them. But for charts, they're so helpful, and they're needed, and they are essential. Because when an NA, the chart recognizes as an NA, something that is not to be plotted. Okay? And now we go to something that we repeated. If now we go to this slicer, we didn't reference it. So Control F3, year slicer, we do number 13, and we do slicer, okay, and then click close, F3, new, We just want years, example number 2, but I believe it's number 14. Hashtag okay. New, we repeat this again. We can just say number 15 gross, and we can carefully just switch this to an H and add the hashtag there carefully. And then click goes, and we need one more, the last point, which is necessary.
Why did you do the example number 2?
Sorry, is that a question or so I can
Yeah,
answer it?
you wrote example number 2. Should it be example number 3?
Oh, example number 3. Oh, good eye. Yeah, I'll fix that. Okay, I'll fix that. Yeah, see. All right, hashtag on this.
Keeping an eye on you, Carlos.
Yeah. But that's good. I like it. I don't know. I feel sometimes when I'm explaining this to my colleagues in person, I think they like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. They don't understand the passion with Excel. So, all right. So we have all this, and that's it. I mean, look. So now we got something that we are gonna use. See it expanded. Now we're gonna plot this. Now we're gonna throw a line chart on this. We throw a line chart, naked one, yes, just like that, blank one. Select data, add, what do we want? We want the gross, and then we want this, but we're gonna delete this part, F3, and then we do gross. We could have added the example number 3 to be more explicit, but I'm going a little bit fast and I don't want to take longer. And then we do add, we do another add, because now we want to plot the last point. And we delete this, we click here, and then F3, and then we do last point. You will see. Click OK, click OK. And now we do the horizontal axis label, and we do year, we delete this part, and then F3, and then, yes, years right here, sorry. Okay. And now let's see. So here you start, boom, 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 boom. And then you start saying sales are increasing and all that. Okay, so we can back up here. And before doing that, I'm actually gonna go grab this next lookup, and I'm gonna put it right here, dynamic title. Yes, okay, I know why. So I'm gonna convert this to another table, and this is a little bit extra for the example. Let's just, I believe is number 17, XM. Okay, so what I'm defining here, guys, I'm going a little bit fast on solo mode, is that I'm just using another table to sort of give dynamic titles to the chart. And because every year this is being already analyzed, it's assumed so, then you can add something that the title will adjust depending on what you trigger on your slicers. And so here I just need this sort of name. We go right here on table design to color gray, and switch this to that name, data example 3. Okay, back out, and now I can copy this formula right here, but I cannot see where it's triggering, which is that. Okay, so now I can copy the X lookup, copy this, I think has 2 equal signs, but then we're gonna relate it to here. Click OK. All right. So now I'm gonna go grab, I'm gonna add the chart title, and you click on the chart title, okay? You click there, but you click it, not that you're about to edit it like that. No, you wanna click it right on the border. And then you go to the formula bar, equals. And then you select it to that cell, which is L4. And then, and go back, and then you will see that the title is switching. So it kind of accompanies your storytelling with data. When this happens, sometimes I think it will work. You click on the chart title, and I learned this from, I think it was John Swabish or John Peltier, one of the two, is that you can go right here and you can go to this option right here. No, disappear. All right, right there. And then go right here on the format options. And I believe, oh, you can unwrap this. Usually when you unwrap this, it's better, okay? So it allows you to be all in one line. So it doesn't do word wrap, okay? But the other way that I do it, and I prefer this way, is actually, let's delete the chart title, and you click on the chart right here, and then you click insert, and you go to text, okay? And if you go through this way, the text box becomes part of the chart. What do I mean? I click right here, and I get this upside down cross, and I click right here. And now I click it nicely on the borders, and I click it equals to right here, L4. Yep. And now you can see that now when I select, I can leave it like that. When I select another year that it was maybe doing the word up, it's not gonna do that. It's actually gonna maintain that. And that's kind of nice because that way it just maintains consistency. So now we just gotta grab this and we make it a little bit bold and bigger. Okay. And now when you're changing your chart, okay, see that title is a bit big. Maybe you have to also check up on this, maybe make it a little bit smaller, or as that fix. Okay. So now then we do have this last data point, which is important. If I click on right at the tip of the chart, right at the end, you will see that it will highlight something. And it's highlighting that one. But if I like tinily tip at the very tip of the line, now you have the last point. And now I want to do, now that it's selected, I'm going to do Control-1. And then right here on Format Series, I go to Line, Marker Options, Built-in, go to Circle. The color is orange. Maybe we can do fill, a solid fill. We can do a darker blue like this. And then the line as well, click on the line. And the line, maybe we can make it thinner. Maybe, yeah, 2 points is good, but the color has to be consistent. So maybe I think I selected this one. Yep, that is. Okay, and then you do notice like an orange border. That's from the marker. So with that, we just can just do no line right here. And maybe I'm zooming in too much. Let's make this bigger. And then no border right here. Once we do that, that goes away. Oh, what happened? It didn't delete it. Why is that? No line. Now it made it bigger and it went away. All right, perfect. It's just a nice effect. It kind of gives you sort of where the line is going to. It's a tiny thing, but I kind of like it. And then we grab and then we add this button right here again, and we go to Format, Chart Design, and then we go right here, Chart Design, and we add the elements of error bars. And I think it's one of the last tips. Why? Because I'm gonna do a standard error. Once I do that, nothing shows up. Kind of, it's annoying. But the thing is that now you go to Format, okay? And you can right here, Format, okay? And you have all the stuff that is being plotted, and you have the error bars are there. You click there, and I believe nothing still shows up, but you can click on the chart, Control-1, and then the options of error bars are gonna appear. What I want is minus, no cap, percentage, and then 100. Once I do that, then that simple line is just telling me what you're, so for the audience, it's a visually ease, where are they located? And you can just increase this, make it a little bit darker, make it a little bit, the dash type to be this one. and maybe, yeah. And then these lines right here can be a little bit on the outline, and we can just make a little bit gray accent 3. And if we make this more, say, we cover all this on the design behind scenes. Now, for example, and I guess now we can make the title bigger. And I think that's it. If anybody wants to make any questions up to now, I can happily answer them. Hopefully it's all clear. And I hiccup on the first part with that, the part right there. Titles are important. So say that you're about to say, hey, we did our first sales. We opened in 09. And then, okay, something we're missing here. We need to add the Excel titles, both for primary and horizontal. So for this one, we can just say, oh, I don't know what's happening there. Yeah, years, and we can leave it there. And then this one, we can do sales in thousands, maybe that way. Okay, in dollars, right? But we don't want it like that. And this is something that if you come across the database people, they say always horizontal because it's always legible. So you click there and then zoom 3 and then just go right here on home. And the way to fix it, it's not so intuitive, but you go right here and you click it, you deactivate rotated text up. Once you do that, it kind of puts it horizontally and you just put it maybe right here. And you can just cover it this. And it kind of gives you sort of the effect that the New Yorkers and newspapers do. So I don't know, it's kind of nice. You label the last value of that axis and that's it. Now you start presenting and you can say, hey, sales are increasing slowly. Again, 2011 was slow. Of course, you want to say this with more enthusiasm and more of a storytelling mode. And then sales just stall, 13, same thing. And then 14, same thing. But then when you go to 15, wait, what happened? People are going to be impressed. What happened there? Oh, what happens is that we introduced 2 new products to the market and that increased our sales. Perfect. And if we keep 16, a new words, again, storytelling with data, but you use the slicers connected to dynamic arrays that are being plotted. And that's it. Last 3 tips are just refine your charts aesthetics. Make them look like they were not done in Excel. That's something I learned from Jorge Camoes. Number 3, learn about error bars. They're helpful. They're useful. Kind of not, they're handy, but they're not so popular. And chart titles, the audience is always like looking at stuff and like, what is this about? Like, you want to tell them what this thing is about. So they're important. And I think the last point, just be grateful and thank you for the opportunity. I think I made it right in time.
It's Carlos. You did it on right time. This is really fantastic. Working with dynamic arrays, so many things happening in the block. Oh, that was really cool. And I'm sure the participants over here are also amazed the way you have explained it and how the journey you have broke it into steps and into buckets, and then you have club it into one, and that's really fantastic, Carlos. Really, really appreciated that.
Oh, thanks.
So, let me quickly check if we have any questions on the chat.
Yeah, I didn't go too, I apologize. I didn't go too deep in explaining the formulas because the presentation was more about how to make the chart dynamic based on the formula. So if any questions, just putting on the comments and I'll look at the comments to answer, the logic behind them.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Just in case. Yeah. Was that?
Yeah, the link, I'll be dropping the link of this sample file, which will be there. It will be on the YouTube link. It will be available there. So you can, once I have it from Carlos, I'll just stack it over there. And
Okay.
Carlos, you can feel free to add the whatever the material you like to add it over there.
Oh, okay. I think on the meetup page where you posted the event, I'll post the OneDrive link so people can download that file. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just gotta check up some things here that I have to fix. And so that way it's clear and go. But I'll post it between today and tomorrow at the latest. And just in case, guys, if you're interested to seeing some of the charts that I went just to sort of present the example using real stuff, I did post it in on this website, on this URL link that I'm gonna put on the chat right now, that you can sort of take advantage to sort of download all these files are here. I have up to 30. There's more coming. It's just that I'm very busy with work and kind of stressful a little bit. So I haven't had time to really just sit down and have fun just building them and share them with the community. So hopefully new ones coming soon. So that's the page. If you guys want to download, just click whenever, whatever chart that you like, you just click on this goldish button and it will send you to an Excel online file. I'm not gonna do it here because it's connected, my Edge is connected to my OneDrive, so I don't want to update the file in any sense. I just want to for anybody to download.
Thank you, Carlos. And
yeah,
so before we end, just a few announcements. As we know that we are coming up with the next event. It will be next month, 15th April. And as Carlos has already mentioned, there's a book launch had happened for Oz, Mr. Oz and Bill Jelen. I have already dropped the link in the chat, and I'll be also keeping it on the YouTube, and it's already there in the Zoom chat. So, and tomorrow I'll be presenting the demo of the advanced formula environment. So make sure to catch it up that as well. So we'll be signing off from the YouTube, but as usual, Carlos, I always ask my speaker any last and final word. So we can end the streaming. It could be any quote. It could be quote from Oz's book as well. No problem. It could be anything. But
wait,
we want to hear it from you.
I'm sharing my screen, right? Okay, let me just stop sharing my screen, and maybe if I don't know.
Yeah, and please, I would one request that I would like to do all the participants over here. Please go and give your feedback on the YouTube and LinkedIn. Please give us your feedback. We'd be really happy. It would really help us also to stream up more sessions for you. Yes, Carlos, please.
Oh no, I guess I don't know. Never stop learning. Have fun, and yeah, try to always. I don't know. I'm just maybe this is a bit of a plug, but just try to enumerate the formulas that you built, or sort of that way. If it gives you order to your work, and then it comes handy when you go back to it and say, "What the hell did I did?" Or if you give it to another person that might want to understand what you did, and that sort of numbering kind of helps out a little bit, hopefully.
Perfect. Thank you. And we are just ending from the YouTube live now. We'll be still on the Zoom. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you for the time.